Hello, my name's Dalgliesh. I work at Bendigo Kangan Institute, working at the Food and Fibre Department on Bendigo campus. And for the last 6 years, I've been working in the agriculture, horticulture and conservation land management space, or AHC, specialising in sustainability and sustainable work practices. I became aware of the ISS through a colleague. And so in 2021, I put in an application and was very successful and was fortunate travelling earlier this year. I travelled in May 2022, just after the opening up after COVID. I suppose it resonated within myself because on my own journey with regards to sustainability, I was working in Singapore in a fashion magazine of all things. Through a mishap in checking the printing, we actually printed the back cover on a slightly different colour to what it was wanted by their client. That went to production and was distributed across Singapore and Malaysia until the client saw the production. The whole lot was taken from the shelves and had to have a reprint at the scale of tens of thousands. My initial feelings was around the area of dry reaching, to be quite honest. That moment, I apologised, I recognised, I learned from that experience not to be so flippant when checking errors. But it also said to me that this is just crazy, that for the slight change in colour, we are prepared to take everything off the production line and run it again. And that to me said that there was something seriously wrong, either with me or with the industry. So it was easier to change my path. So the places I chose to visit in Northern Europe or Scandinavia were communities and cities that were of a similar ethos to Bendigo and a similar size and relationship to food and food supply systems. Aware, Bendigo was recently awarded UNESCO City of Gastronomy, and that was very fortuitous to introducing me to a community in northern Sweden, Östersund, who is also one of our sister cities as a city of gastronomy. I visited a city in Germany dedicated to the principles or the practices of cognitive behavioural therapy, and was talking to a lecturer there around attitudes to agriculture and food production systems. Also to a city in Western Netherlands, Ada, a small community that is in the final stages of developing a world food centre. I visited south of Sweden, a city called Helsingborg, Helsingborg in the months of May, June and July had opened up the whole of the city as a sustainability expo. The range and the detail to sustainability was quite inspiring, and probably when I reflect upon it, one of the greater aspects of my travel with regards to how to start to develop resources for an educational context. Coming back to Australia, there were some gaps in the workplace. As a teacher, there's certainly a lot of opportunity for developing resources for education and supporting teachers to develop their own resources as well. So quite often teachers will already have the examples of a sustainability activity or teaching element, but they don't have the backing of the organisation so that they can actually deliver that. We're in the industry of teaching and education, and so our teachers need to be able to work in a space that allows them to deliver environmentally sustainable practices. An organisation will be doing things like putting solar panels on a roof, dealing with waste resources, efficiencies in water. Each of those that organisation will be having projects based need to recognise that those can become educational resources as well. So that when you're putting solar panels on a roof, for example, will that platform be something that a teacher can then use in the classroom so as to educate students around sustainability? So it's important that we have that holistic approach to the way that we move forward as an organisation, but also as an educational institution in supporting teachers in their workplace. With a Cert 4 student cohort, we worked with the organisation and we started making a compost. You know, future generations don't have the pristine water, they don't have the virgin forests, they don't have the abundance of natural resources that previous generations had. And so we need to become a lot more creative and lateral, innovative. What we saw as green waste, we now recognise is a resource for compost or a worm farm or a weed tea. We start to explore but also encourage and approach it with enthusiasm. You know, the last 2 years post-COVID, we are starting to see a real change. And again, that's one of the indicators for myself that now was the time to do some research. You're never too old to start learning. And so the ISS opportunity really galvanised for me that ability that I can bring something of value to vocational education.
So my name's Bill Mundy. I'm the Associate Director for Partnerships and Growth here at Federation University. And my role's been to effectively develop the APRATEC initiative. So APRATEC is effectively the Asia Pacific Renewable Energy Training Centre. And again, it's got a genesis that's taken us over 6 years. In that 6-year period, what we've been able to achieve is the development of a business case, if you like, that established the reasons why we'd want to establish a renewable energy training centre. It's called the Asia Pacific Renewable Energy Training Centre because that's exactly what it is. It's going to service the Asia Pacific region with the skills for folks that want to work in the wind energy sector. And it'll provide them with, as I said, the heights-based training, the apprenticeship for blade technicians, and of course the turbine technician training. I come from a commercial background. I'm not a teacher, I'm not a trainer, I'm not a curriculum person, I'm not a quality person, I'm a commercial person. And I entered the university some 6 years ago as a part of the development of, if you like, the business development assets at that stage. I looked around and saw that the renewable energy sector at that time was burgeoning. What we currently know is that turbine technicians and blade technicians are one of the most sought after roles in the Australian workforce. These roles are the roles of the future. And as an individual that had no background in the TAFE sector, what I could see was the opportunity for our organisation to take a leading role in the development of skills that would enforce our ability to transition to a more sustainable future. So my journey with the ISSI Fellowship started in 2019. I was encouraged to apply by colleagues that worked in the Department of Education who felt that the work that I was doing in the APRATEC initiative was something that was worthy of applying for. I knew nothing about the ISSI and thought, why would I possibly be accepted for a fellowship given I'm not a teacher? In fact, I even asked the question, should I apply? So I went through the application process, and when I came out the other end of it, what I recognised was that I do have something to offer. I do have something to contribute to our sector, the TAFE sector, and to our state, and if you like, to the entire nation as a part of the activities that I'm doing. So my travel plans will see me take up the fellowship in 2023. I intend to travel to South Africa, to America and to Europe. And across those continents, I intend to visit training organisations that have got similar activities to our own here in Australia. and I intend to spend time with state-based or jurisdictional-based TAFE organisations that will give me an understanding for how they have built the skills and what they've done in their training systems to enable them to deliver the skills for the wind energy sector. Whilst I'm in Europe, I tend to visit academies that have been established by major renewable energy developers, so Idribola, for example, and then I intend to also go and visit organisations like Vestas, Acciona, to name a few, who are major original equipment manufacturers of wind turbines, and to learn from them in their training centres as a part of the work they do to train their technicians at a global level. Importantly, I intend to go to America, where in America I want to visit the college that will be training our teachers to teach here in Australia to be turbine technicians. I think the flooding that existed back in 2011, the bushfires that have occurred over the course of the last 10 years or so, have all started to trigger in my mind the importance of the fact that we've got to transition away from the carbon-based economy we are currently in to effectively live on our planet and not destroy our planet. And we certainly feel that we'll be able to support that with our APRATEC initiative, but I certainly feel I'll be able to understand the needs of the transition through the work that I do as a part of my fellowship travelling globally. In the course of 2022, we held what was called an Industry and Education Day, where we invited career teachers and we invited industry folks to come together. As a part of that event, we gave people the opportunity to see the brilliant infrastructure that we've built, and we had industry talk to careers teachers from high schools about the opportunities in the renewable energy sector, particularly the wind sector. We had teachers and we had careers advisors and principals from around the region come to us and say they didn't think that the jobs that existed in the renewable energy sector were jobs that their students could take a part in, which was really astounding. But also it was quite refreshing to think that we were able to provide these people, these teachers, principals and careers advisors with the information that is going to help them to influence students at their high schools into choosing a career that could well lead them to be a part of the renewable energy sector, particularly the wind generation sector. I've had to remain tenacious to continue to fight the battle for what I've seen as the opportunities of the future for our business, and for the need that is glaringly obvious right across Australia in terms of the jobs that exist in the sector that we're looking to serve. Certainly, as I started the conversation inside the business, there was plenty of sceptics around why would we want to do this? Why would we want to provide support to the wind energy sector when at that point in time there was no obvious need for jobs, etc. The workforce was imported from all over the world. Well, the reason why, and the reason why I continue to remain steadfast in my belief in what we were doing, was because we need to develop the jobs locally. The jobs that we have available to Australians to work in the sector need to be developed locally, and the training for those jobs needs to be developed locally. We had no training in Australia. We had no career pathways. Through the initiative we've developed, we certainly have those career pathways. And yes, I've had to remain steadfast in my ambition to bring together the APRATEC initiative. At the end of the day, it's about industry, it's about our children and our children's children having opportunities to work in the sector in the longer term.
I'm Marina McGrath. I'm teaching in the Fashion and Textiles Department at Kangan Institute. I've been here 9 years and sustainability is a passion that I have. After graduating, I worked in various positions in fashion and textiles and also costume design. I lived for 4 years in Berlin. I had my own label. So I held various positions. I've also worked for large commercial companies. So I've had broad-ranging industry experience. And then I moved into teaching after I had children. So when I was working, like many people, we didn't give much thought to what happened to the garment after it was sold. And I personally was quite shocked when I realised that the fashion industry was such a large contributor to the environmental damage. I felt that in my role as a trainer, I'm obligated to work towards the Sustainable Development Goals and incorporate training that's relevant and needed now for the next generation. Last year I attended a fashion festival breakfast with Elle Roseby, who's the Managing Director of Country Road, and she said to me that she doesn't want to employ any fashion graduates if they don't have sustainability knowledge. So one of my managers suggested to me that I apply for the fellowship, that they were interested with the concept that I wanted to run with, which was sustainability research. And so I put in my application and I was fortunate to be successful. So my fellowship involved me visiting Berlin, which ran the largest sustainability event in Europe. It was called Neonet, and I visited a number of schools there, both private and public, both technical colleges and higher education, to look at the various programs. And Germany in particular was very interesting because also from a government level, they're putting targets in for the universities to meet themselves. So the sustainability in Germany was very prevalent. On public transports, the messages were out to consumers. There was a high level of transparency. People are recycling into 5 bins. I also went to the Centre of Sustainable Fashion in London, and I met Professor Kate Fletcher. I met with leading experts in the area of sustainability and education. It was a wonderful experience, very jam-packed. So I really saw a broad range of ways that different educators are incorporating sustainability knowledge into their courses and programs. What was really interesting was the use of new technology in a lot of the programs, new tools and new fabrics that are being developed that people are implementing, the trend towards circular fashion, where the design is able to be recycled or reused in some way. And you could see a lot of samples or a lot of garment ranges incorporating new fabrics or new technologies, so reducing the environmental impact. So it was pretty incredible. I think it made me realise that even though I play a very small role as a teacher, you can have impact through your own role and also through your wider community and through your network. Since doing the fellowship, I volunteered and contributed to the discussion on how to change the training package for the fashion and merchandising diploma. I'm volunteering on a group within Kangan itself to promote sustainability and drive the agenda across the Institute. From my learnings from the fellowship, a key part of it was the involvement of industry as well as embedding throughout the program various touch points, not keeping sustainability as a standalone subject, but more addressing it more broadly across many of the subjects to keep it in the mind of the students when they're developing designs. How can I make this garment create less environmental damage? How can I source ethically and sustainably? So that's what I've been doing with the subjects that I'm delivering. So at present it's a very exciting time because very shortly we're having the Fashion Festival program and student work that's produced here at Kangan, where they're upcycling, reinventing, reinvigorating old discarded garments that we get donated from Australian Red Cross. These new products are going to be then shown on the catwalk. So it's a wonderful event that highlights the work that we're doing and showcases the creativity of the students. We're training people with skills and knowledge to go into industry, and it's important that they bring this knowledge into their workplaces. So the vet has a crucial role to drive industry change. People my generation, we were brought up with old ways of thinking, not considering the waste we were creating. Now it all has to completely change. And so that is happening. And so this is the skills and knowledge that we need to deliver.
It is really important for the ISS Institute, in conjunction with the Department of Education and Training, that our fellows really make an impact, not only to themselves personally, but also sectorially and for their organisations that they work for. Fellowships are lifelong journeys. You will always build on it, you will always allow yourself to learn and grow and explore more. Will, Marina and Bill have the opportunity to really make a difference within their TAFE, to change processes, to create new programs, to integrate sustainability throughout all of their institutions. So really the future is very bright for all of them.